we go. Okay. I call this meeting to order at 4:01 p.m. Please keep in mind these meetings may be audio or visually recorded. Will any members present please state their name for the record?
Sarah Rodriguez.
Orkol Sorky.
Andrew Sapdash.
Austin Britton.
Emma Fullerton.
Matthew Bravo is acting chair. And will any members of the public present please state their name as well for the record?
Maddie Seifert. Kate Finfro.
Tyler Stallone.
Andrew Larson. Max Bannock.
Okay, so seeing as we have 6 members present, quorum has been established. We now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1027. 5 minutes of presentation ready, seeing as there are authors here. You can waive at any time, but your presentation time starts whenever you're ready.
Okay, so we just have a resolution for a week of fun, de-stressing activities for students during finals week and for faculty. Some of our ideas are like puppy yoga one day in Turlington with like therapy dogs, or free donuts and coffee the next day in Turlington. Just fun, cute little activities every day of the week that like brings happiness to students or can de-stress them for a little during a crazy week. Another idea we had is like maybe little baggies with like gum or like pencils and candy, some stuff like that.
And our
yeah.
main plan is to work with the CWC to make it happen. So, yeah.
Okay.
That's really all we have.
Okay. You waive the rest of your time?
Yes.
Okay, great. Seeing as they have waived, we now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Do I hear any debate?
I think it's a great bill. The authors really spent a lot of time on this topic, research, and yeah, I'm just can't wait to see it actually be implemented. So good job, guys.
The only thing I see is there's one and that needs to be changed, then that needs to be changed into an and in the second to last whereas clause. But other than that, yeah. Anybody else? Any more debate?
I think it looks good.
Okay. We now move into 2 minutes of final privilege. They say you can waive too.
Yes.
Okay.
Waive.
Great. And do I hear any motions at this time?
I actually have a question.
Okay.
For source 3, is it okay to remove?
Yes.
The
Actually,
authors, yeah,
question.
the authors are.
Will you be amendable to striking source 3?
Yes.
Very well. Awesome. Thanks. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I move to strike source 3 from 1027. Bill 1027 by unanimous consent.
Okay. Do I hear any objection? Seeing none, motion passes.
I move to amend the last 2 whereas clauses. The second to last whereas clause to be changed to semicolon and comma, and then the last whereas clause to be changed to semicolon then comma by unanimous consent. On Bill 1027 by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Okay, seeing none, those pass. Okay. And are there any more motions?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1027 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1027 by unanimous consent. Are there any opposed? Okay, seeing none, the motion passes. All right, will any members of the public who just entered please state their name?
Caroline Botts.
Okay, thank you. And we now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1037. Seeing as there is an author present, 5 minutes of presentation when you're ready.
Oh shoot, that's me.
Thank you both.
Sorry, I was finishing the notes. So this one is a not too complicated a bill. It's just calling on the University for sustainable and environmentally responsible. It's kind of the partner bill of, I think it's 1038. It's the very next one. So it's just something we thought was something that the Senate's done before, something that they said, but just some added kind of facts about sort of the fossil fuel industry, different companies, and their negative effects, reiterating what the Senate has done before through the passage of things like the Green New Deal. and just reaffirming the commitment to provide sustainable resolutions and pledges and building upon them. And I waved the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you. We now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing as there are none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate? Okay. Seeing none, 2 minutes of final privilege.
I yield.
Okay, and do we hear any motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1037 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1037 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? All right, seeing none, that motion passes. Okay. We now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1038. And seeing as there is an author present, please 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this one is kind of the partner bill to that. This is calling on the University of Florida to look into divesting from corporations and to minimize financial risk. This is separate from the other bill because while we want to say divesting and we want to connect that to environmental reasons, the state of Florida says you cannot recommend or divest for anything like that could be viewed as political. So we've leaned into both of these bills to be sent to the people who can make these decisions, the people in charge, and we know that the people in charge are sustainable focused. But we thought by having these separate, we can say we want to be environmentally friendly, and we also want to look into divestment similar as other top institutions have. A lot of them have divested and said so for different reasons. We think that you could also look at studies that have been done about the financial risk of different corporations and understand that there is benefit from divesting from corporations into other avenues. Obviously, none of us are going to be experts in what the best avenues are, but we want this to really open the door into saying, is there a better way that we can be putting the University of Florida's $1.2 billion endowment where students, staff, and current and future generations can feel happy that that money is being used appropriately and still doesn't risk the future of the university. And so that's the intent of this bill, is to try to say, let's start that discussion, let's see what's going on, and see what's possible. And I take the rest of my time.
Okay. Would any members of the public who entered please state their name?
Marco Salvador.
Thank you. All right. And we now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Do you hear any questions?
Have you guys met with the Capital Improvement Trust Committee or anybody very closely in charge of any of the funds?
Not in a direct sense. We've talked to different directors of sustainability and things like that, and they have met with them individually to discuss these sort of things. We've sent out emails to try to get in direct contact, and we haven't heard back from those things, so it's been tough to get contact. And we're hoping something like this that is not super, it's not committing the Senate or the university to anything specific will hopefully allow us to have those future conversations and say, we know we have the backing of the Senate to at least start this conversation and ask you what is possible, what can we do about this.
Are there any universities that have divested completely from corporations and seen like a successful model?
So divesting, it's a long-term process. We're not asking the university to say let's completely change everything overnight. I put in here Harvard University, Stanford, and the University of California systems. They've made commitments to divest, and they've made progress on divesting over time, and they haven't seen any negative effects from those divestments so far. And there are studies that have put out that divesting from certain corporations, specifically from an environmental standpoint, but in general, into environmentally friendly things, not only is better for the environment, but it does actually have better returns, or it has historically over the past 5 to 10 years. So,
What kind of students would be on this? Like, are they just going to be like finance students? Are they going to be just what kind of students are going to be? Because something I think about is do these students even have wealth management expertise to be even giving these opinions and forming these opinions and coming forward with them, putting them on paper? What kind of students are going to be qualified students?
I think that's up for I think it's out of my hands for what I would ideally have. I think that the people in this need to be very much in charge, and I would say putting students on it is not necessary from a we need students to have a vote, but more as we have students to say, this is what we know is happening. They're a part of the conversations, and they can relay student concerns and discussions to and from that committee. So a lot of the ways the university committees existing work are students can't vote, right? They're just a voice, and so we want them to at least have a voice, and so we have that sort of connection. And that takes away a lot of the issues where you would say we want them to, comment on progress, where we already have like a monthly thing set up where we can see what that progress is or what discussions are happening.
When drafting this bill, were there like specific corporations y'all had in mind that were potentially like especially risky, or is this a general call just to?
This is a general call because we want to avoid saying like we want to divest from environmental reasons. This started by saying, that there are studies out there where if you divest from fossil fuel energy, for instance, and invest in environmentally friendly corporations, that is better over the past 5 to 10 years on your returns. But this is more of a general, we shouldn't be comfortable with the status quo. We should be saying, hey, this is the status quo. We're investing in all these corporations. Are there better industries that we can be investing in or better avenues for us to invest in that doesn't risk our endowment or anything like that, but also allows everyone to feel comfortable with what we are investing in? So I don't want to be like, this is for a specific corporation, because then we could get into like what what Florida allows and doesn't allow. And I'm not trying to make anyone even think that anyone's going against that line. So,
Could you clarify on timeline, what's the time span you expect this? Because you say that you're going to be committing University of Florida to a clear timeline for divestment.
And I think I put a clear timeline and not setting a date because it's something that would be more complicated for me to understand. I know from the other university systems that have started this process that it's a 10-year timeline at least. This is not something that's done in the next year or two. And I think that would be reasonable to expect, just to say, let's set a timeline for when we think it's reasonable and when we need to have commitments made about do we want to start the first year is just looking into alternatives and we can say what's possible, and then moving forward then we see what's possible. But I don't want to say we should have all this done in the next year by any means.
Are there any more questions?
I actually have one more.
There's 30 seconds left.
Never mind then. I don't think it's going to be the second question.
Okay.
We're on to debate.
All right. Well, we now move into 5 minutes of debate.
I think I can understand what you're trying to go for with this bill. I just think that it's too broad to say, and that therefore to include students, faculty, because I understand you want students' voices to be heard, but this is not a topic that a student that doesn't know the subject can give influential and beneficial advice on.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, I don't think that this bill is wise to be even tabled. I think that we need financial experts. It's not as detailed as I would have liked it to be. I also think that not only on students but faculty and staff don't know anything about this topic. We're talking about a $1 million budget. It's not $100. That's okay, we'll just leave it to people that don't know. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more important and influential, and I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and that's why I think that having I think that's where I didn't set anything for specific roles on here. I think if you wanted to remove that entire therefore clause, I'd be fine with it and let them decide fully on what they think the best avenue for these sort of goals are in a sort of a broad sense. I'd be fine with that. It's sort of I'm trying to think of practicality, this is a long-term thing, and we want to make sure that if they're making these moves, that it is communicated to these different working groups. And maybe through a working group is not the best avenue of doing that, because we don't want to give bad advice or anything like that. We want the experts to make their decisions and be guided by that. This was just a way of saying we can get that information out to them in a reasonable fashion, and that was kind of the intent behind that. I don't want our $1 billion endowment to be guided by what a freshman thinks is the best avenue. I want the experts to say this is what the best cause is, and we can discuss that.
I understand, totally, why you want to have students on here, because we don't have a vote and stuff. I just feel like we're, I don't want to say, we're out of place, but we're, not in line to be advising on this, because I know, the divestment and the corporations that involved with the endowment, a bunch of stuff. Like, I don't know if like we would be making an impact by having like a say on this, or I don't know if it would be seen as deemed inappropriate. I don't really know. I just feel like we don't have like wealth management qualifications or advice that we could give to the BOT as like strategists.
Mm-hmm. And this is not something that like I came up with, like, you know, standing out there. This is something where I've had discussions with Director of Food Services and Director of Sustainability, and they said, you know, this is something where the person who is in charge of this planning, he's new, he came in the last fall, and he's open for having these discussions, but it's hard to get a hold of him. It's hard to have those discussions. And so that's what we're trying to do, is say, let's start these discussions. But they said that they thought something from the Student Senate would open that door to having those future discussions, even if the door is, you know, students are interested in it and they say, advice taken, and we will do what's best for the university, and there's no further discussion. You know, I'd be happy with that, because I know that we would do our best to start that process. You know, I would feel pretty content in that sort of avenue.
You have any more debate? Okay. All right. So seeing none, we now move into 2 minutes of final privilege.
Yeah. Obviously, we're going to have to vote on this, and I think this is something where we tabled it last week or 2 weeks ago, with the intent of myself and Cass sitting down and discussing with Aaron on some of these nuances. Did not make time for that, unfortunately, and I wish Aaron was here so we could have some of those more discussions on some of that stuff. I'm happy to, you know, edit this until it feels comfortable, even if it makes it more broad. The intent is to open that door and to have those discussions. And even if the end goal is, you know, the financial experts take that into advisement and they do what's best, that's what I would want from this. You know, I don't want to force them to do anything that they'd be uncomfortable with. And this is, I think it's a fine call to do. I think it's not too far above our thing to say we want our endowment to be going to something that students now and in the future can feel happy with, what is, you know, funding our activities and things like that. Without being like, let's specifically go into and out to these specific corporations who want the experts to make those decisions, obviously. I yield.
Okay. All right. Do I hear any motions on the bill at this time? Or on the resolution, I should say, at this time.
I move to fail SSB 2025-1038 on the grounds of implication by unanimous consent.
I object.
Okay. Hearing an objection.
I move to fail SSB 2025-1038 by voting.
You say not by unanimous.
By not by unanimous.
Okay, so seeing as that motion has been made, we now move into a vote on SSB 2025-1038. So all those in favor of, so when I say approving the motion, so then failing the resolution. So this vote is to fail the resolution. So if you're in favor of failing, raise your hand. Okay, all those opposed? Okay. A vote of 4-1 with the chair abstaining. The bill has been failed. Or that motion passes, so therefore the bill has been failed. We now move on to SSB 2025-1044. Sorry, my computer's bugging out. Okay, and let's see. I do not believe there is an author sponsor present, so we now move in directly into 5 minutes of debate on the bill.
I think it's a good bill. We just have to change a few things, like the year of the bill. It's 24, it has to be 25,
Sure.
and other things.
Even though this
Technicalities.
date already happened, I think it's important we still pass it for recognition.
Okay. Any further debate?
I think it looks good.
Okay. Do we hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1044 by changing the year from 2024 to 2025 by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Point of order. Should
Yes.
we modify the therefore clauses so it says that the University of Florida Student Senate commemorates these things? Because right now it's saying the University of Florida.
That is a very good
Yes.
edit. So
I move to amend SSB 2025-1044 to modify the therefore clauses so they it says therefore let it be resolved and therefore let it finally be resolved that the University of Florida Student Senate followed by the rest of by unanimous consent.
are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. I edited to, let me see, tell me if it shows up on yours, and if there are any others where you believe we need to change that. Does that show up for everybody? Okay. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1044 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1044 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. I'm going to withdraw SSB 2025-1045. Mason and I are still in the process of talking to the advisors about some of this. So,
Are you withdrawing?
1045. Yeah.
It couldn't pass anyway because it needs.
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be, yeah. So there's a lot more edits that need to be made for that. Okay. Okay. All right. So we now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1046. Because there is an author present, Senator Botts, would you like to present? You have 5 minutes beginning whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this resolution, I've already presented on this in the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, so I have like a Canva presentation. But basically, one of the things I was trying to work on was getting more bus shelter coverage at UF. And I went to Will McDonald, the director of TAPS, and I intended only for this to be a small project. I only wanted one more bus cover, but he said that they had been talking about this too, and that this has been a problem. So hopefully this can expand to be maybe like 5 bus shelters. We don't have an exact number yet. So right now, there's 2 problems. One problem is that the current UF approved master plan bus shelter design isn't adequate according to like the TAPS professionals, and it's one of the ones that looks sleek. There's one by Southwest Gym. It looks really nice and modern, but it doesn't really functionally help anyone. So we're gonna change that and then hopefully implement more ones where there aren't any ones. So we're not replacing, we're just gonna put covers where there aren't ones. For example, the Greyhound bus, if you guys have ever used it, if it's raining, students are waiting with their luggage for the Greyhound bus without a cover. So the funding would be coming from student traffic court funds. They have, and Nora can speak on this, she's the Chief Justice of the student traffic court, but they have a large budget from money that's come from student parking tickets that can be designated towards student transportation related needs. And then we would obviously follow all of the regulations UF requires. Hopefully, this is already passed by the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee. Will McDonald's on board, the director of TAPS, and so is Nora, the Chief Justice of the Student Traffic Court. This would be a large project, estimated maybe $150,000, but we might go down to less. That's still being discussed. And we would have to go through planning, design, and construction, but a lot of steps have been taken towards this. I do want to adjust the wording on the resolution. I'm not sure where to do that or when to do that. Right now.
If you'd like to clarify the edits you want to make, you can do that now.
Okay. So in the one that I submitted, I want to strike the clause that says, whereas a strategic plan for phase expansion would allow for the installation of improved bus stops, that one, so completely remove that one. And then also adjust the wording on, therefore let it further be resolved that the University of Florida Student Senate encourages the allocation of student traffic court funds for this purpose. That one, and do you want me to just show you? Because it's,
Wait, the second to last therefore clause, right?
yeah,
You want to strike the whole thing?
strike the whole thing that says, the
this
strategic
one.
plan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, strike the strategic plan one, and then edit this one.
Okay.
You want to include.
She wants to edit the second to last therefore let it be resolved one.
Yeah, and include this,
Okay.
which is
Show him it.
Yeah.
Can't have it.
Okay.
does that make
Just-
sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
Wait,
Um,
let me have it so I can like say it.
So this is the first one, and that's the second.
If we
Yeah, you don't have to say it if he's
Yeah.
doing it now.
If we,
Oh, you're
if
doing it
we,
in presentation.
yeah,
Okay.
here. So what
I
we
have-
can just move into, when we move into motions and we move to amend, yeah, we can amend it from there.
All right, sounds good.
Because I,
Okay, that's all I have.
okay. There's your time. All right. 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? I actually do have a question. So how long was the process when talking with the members of this committee and with members of TAPS?
Like estimated?
Yeah, no, like how long have you been talking to those?
Oh,
members for?
my first phone call, my first email was sent in November of last year, but we scheduled a phone call on December 3rd. Well, Will called me.
Sure.
Yeah.
And have you been meeting consistently
Yes,
with them throughout
more,
the time? Great.
the student body treasurer, Stocketh, and I all had a meeting 2 days ago? Friday, about this.
Okay, great. All right. Any more questions? Okay, we are now in line for we're now in line for debate. 5 minutes of debate beginning now.
I think this is a great bill. Clearly, you've thought it through. You've talked to people you need to talk to. The fact that you've been working on this for over 4 months just shows your dedication.
Yeah, I think this is really impressive how much effort and time you put into this. It's a great bill.
How much potential we have.
So this project definitely is a costly project, and it's obviously a great need. But the facilities and plan committee obviously was in full support of it, but it was just a question of like where the funding is going to come from. So I signed off and gave my approval to take some of the money over the student traffic court budget that I oversee to make this project possible. And we're hoping to see a few shelters go into the floor before we leave this year, but we also have to coordinate with LTC and we have to coordinate the amount of iron that has to be in the roofs and stuff. But the funds are there, we have enough money, and we're going to make it happen by using this budget for the project. And our goal with the student traffic court budget every year is to do one project in collaboration with TAPS and SG to do one project that would benefit transportation and parking and something on campus. So this is going to be our project going into next year as well, because we kind of started it later.
And I've personally had a lot of students come up to me and ask for more coverage and various bus stops, and we're going to decide the location of where the shelters go up based on what students have said, and also based on ridership data from TAPS. They have data on who gets off where and what's most used. So.
Awesome.
Just a reminder that only members of the committee can talk during debate, but it's all right.
Okay.
2 minutes of final. Any more debate?
Sorry for debate. We've talked about it before, not to have someone listed in the sponsors and in the proviso.
Yes.
And it's you. So I don't know if you prefer one or the other.
There you go.
But
Yes.
we have talked about not doubling up on that, so I figured I'd point it out. But whatever works.
Perfect. Actually,
I do
now
not
that we're
care.
in debate, okay. Do you want to just stay on the sponsor line then?
Sure.
All right, great. So we will put you for Visa. Thank you, Austin. That was a good catch. All right, any more debate? Okay, we now move into 2 minutes of final privilege.
Sorry, I didn't know I couldn't
You're
speak.
good.
But no, I don't have anything else to say.
All right. And now, do I hear any motions at this time?
Move to pass SSB 2020. Oh,
I
amended it.
yeah.
Oh, I rescind that motion.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1046 to strike Chief Justice of the Student Traffic Court, Norgol from the proviso line by unanimous consent.
Okay. And any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1046 by striking the last whereas clause. And then by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
And then point of question. Is that point of inquiry?
Sure. Point of order, but
Point of order. Okay. Wait, how do you say the question? Point of order, point of inquiry. I have a question.
We're amend, so
It's
move
all
to
right.
amend to the second.
So for the second to last therefore clause where she wants to have it edited, how would I say that? Just move to amend
Just move
based
to-
on how she showed it to
Move to
us?
amend the
Ba-
wording.
would you care to read it out to the entirety of the committee,
Yes.
what you'd like the edit to be?
So the
I'll just read the whole thing. I move to amend last therefore clause to read this.
Okay.
I'm just gonna read the whole therefore. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Caroline. Okay, so I move to amend SSB 2025-1046 second to last therefore clause to read, therefore let it further be resolved that the University of Florida Student Senate encourages the allocation of student traffic court funds for this purpose and urges transportation and parking services TAPS and the Chief Justice of the Student Traffic Court to approve and implement an expansion plan for improved bus stop infrastructure with input from the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee, PATAC, by unanimous consent.
You might as well just have this to write it down. Okay. Does anybody object to that motion? No? All right. Give me a second. Second to last therefore clause that you have.
this is my like you go here right? That's like I just asked.
So this is this the second to last one?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was this. And it's this.
To approve and implement an expansion plan for improved bus stop infrastructure.
I have it right here. Do you just want?
Thank you.
I just have to email it.
Okay. Thank you. Do I hear a motion to amend 1046 and the second to last therefore clause to change the word urges to encourages?
So
Right.
moved.
Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to pass SSB 2025-1046 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1046 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? All right, hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. We now move into the consideration of SSB 2025-1047. With no author or sponsor present, we move into 5 minutes of debate. I'm going to be frank. I think that this should be a format failure.
Yeah.
Large-scale edits in this sense should not be taking up a lot of our time, especially when we have bills on the docket. And we've also had conversations about formatting before. This would be one of the larger formatting edits we would have to make pretty much all semester. So I feel like this warrants a failure based on format.
I agree.
Yeah, I just think that there's speakers here for other bills that have taken their time to come and like speak and inform us, and to just sit here and edit for over like 20 minutes on something that we've repeatedly discussed is just not good for president. So we should get this on format.
Okay. Any more debate? Okay, there's no final privilege. Do we hear any motions at this time?
To the SSB 2025-1047 on the criteria format by
All right, there's been a motion made to fail SSB 2025-1047 on the grounds of format by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right. We now move into SSB 2025-1048. There is indeed a sponsor. Actually, yeah, there is a sponsor present. So, Senator Bannock, would you care to present?
I would love to, yeah. So I worked on this one
Oh, yeah.
in conjunction with Senator Liang. We've been working alongside,
Yeah.
I believe it was the chair of the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee, who informed us about some of the specifics on this, but relating to the contents of the bill. Essentially what we're calling for is more express notice about syllabi, specifically based off the feedback we received from the Curriculum Committee chair, was the additional whereas clause stating Florida Senate Bill 744 requires university to post syllabi at least 45 days prior to the first day of the class each term. I can speak to, at least in my instance, that there are even classes I'm taking this current semester that don't have the syllabi posted on the departmental website. So 744 isn't being adhered to in many instances within the College of Engineering. That's kind of the focus we're going for here, as posting is very pertinent as it relates to specific courses that are required for each degree that require the purchasing of materials. I cannot speak for myself, however, I know some of my peers within the College of Engineering have had to either request delays for labs or have separate accommodations because when they finally had the syllabi available to them come the first or second week of class, they weren't able to receive the lab materials in time for their first lab. So I think this is a no-brainer resolution, and I'd be interested to hear any questions you all have. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, thank you. We now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Right now.
Would you be willing to amend the proviso in eliminating the majority of the names, such as interim provost and the senior vice president of academic affairs?
I don't have any issues removing Glover. I will just say that the deans need to remain, if this is a continued line of thought in removing things from the proviso, as it's mainly at the academic unit level that this isn't being adhered to. But yeah, I have no issues removing Provost Glover.
And do you think we also need the associate provost? I don't think provost needs this.
Sure,
hear
yeah.
this.
I don't mind.
Okay.
Again, it's really the deans that are the most important to remain.
Would you be open to changing the wording on the last therefore let it be finally reserved clause to the University of Florida Student Senate encourages the university faculty instead of urges?
Sure.
Perfect.
I also, do you mind on the proviso eliminating faculty senate academic policy council chair?
I believe that was the person that we were communicating with, so I would like for them to be kept in the proviso. But
Okay.
I do understand. Yeah.
All right, that's good. Then I have no questions. Oh, and then move the source in the fifth whereas clause to the end if you're amendable to that.
1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're saying source 7?
Yeah.
After the comma, I mean.
Yeah, at the end, like before this semicolon. Like
Oh, the
how you have
in-text
it in
citation.
deadlines.
Yeah, you can move it to before the semicolon.
All right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's fine.
Thank you.
All right. Do I hear any more questions? We now move into 5 minutes of debate. Do I hear any debate?
I think this brings up a really valid point, in that we're not complying with FSB 7044, and that students should have access to the syllabus when it is stated they're required to.
All
I
right.
think this is something where I want to make sure, and I think it's good to send it to the deans because each of them are going to know what's best for a lot of the faculty and staff that are teaching these courses. I know sometimes for the syllabi they have to created by like individual TAs, and sometimes TAs don't get what class they're teaching, and they don't have time to prepare until under that 45-day limit. And that's, depending on how they're changing the course and stuff, but I think doing this and saying, we've already established we want to be as close to 45 days as possible, let's work on adjusting that and make this available, I think is a good step to make sure we're holding ourselves accountable and helping current and future students get this information. So I think it's really good for that point.
Okay. All right. Do I hear any more debate? All right. Now we move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1048 by striking from the proviso from interim provost all the way to Dr. Angela Linder by unanimous consent.
Okay. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1048 by striking the word urges from the last that for finally be resolved clause and replacing it with encourages.
Sorry.
But anyways,
All right. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1048 by changing in the fifth whereas clause the citation to before the semicolon by unanimous consent.
Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Here, let me-
I move to pass SSB 2025-1048 by unanimous consent.
Sorry, my computer's acting up. All right, there has been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1048 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes. All right, we now move into. Okay, seeing as there is no, are we now moving to SSB 2025-1049? Seeing as there's no author, sponsor, president, we move directly into debate. I'm going to recommend a format failure for this as well. That's just my opinion at this point. People should not be submitting PDFs. So, yeah.
Yeah, we also tabled this last week on implication because student government runs that lab, and so we're kind of telling ourselves to do it. So not seeing any edits and still having that formatted in PDF, I think it's fail, and hopefully they can come back or someone can address this issue if it's a real issue. So
Yes. Don't worry, I'll make fun of Jordan and Tristan for this. All right, but yeah, I recommend a failure for this. Is there any more debate? Okay, hearing none, we now move into motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to fail SSB 2025-1049 on the basis of format by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to fail SSB 2025-1049 on the grounds of format by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right.
1050, when you open it, it's this. I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Tab 1.
what the?
Is
Oh,
it-
no, scroll down.
I have no idea. That's not how I submitted
No,
it to
I
Aaron.
have
so-
no
No,
idea
I know.
either.
I
Hold
was
on.
opening
I
this
got
the other
notes.
day and
Okay,
it did
let's-
not open like this. That's funny.
Maybe Aaron was making notes and
Yeah.
I don't know if Aaron's notes would just be tab 1. But that sounds like something that I would screw up, not being very tech savvy. But all right, so we now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1050. Seeing as there is an author present, you have 5 minutes presentation whenever you are ready.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what's up with the formatting because I submitted it the same as I submitted it last week when we had tabled it, so I'm not sure
Yeah.
what's
Yeah, that's
what's changed.
worry.
Hopefully we can delete that stuff and not worry about it. This is not a too complicated bill. It's calling or advocating for the creation of a conservation management team. I discussed this last week or 2 weeks ago. We have conservation areas. They're really important. We have some of the oldest ones in the state of Florida. They're governed by this CALM plan, this Conservation Area Management Plan. Hasn't been updated since 2004. And we don't have any conservation specialists specifically to help manage those areas. So those areas have been noted for the past 20 years to be have plastic in them, have a bunch of invasive species, and we need to have people in charge of fixing those areas so current and future students can enjoy them and that nature can thrive there as it was meant to. So I've had discussions with the current grounds director, who would be in charge of, who is currently in charge of the conservation areas, even though they have no specialists in there, and they recommended trying to get at least a team of 3, and that would be the best kind of idea to address these issues. And so taking that initiative and saying this is what they think the best thing to do is to fix these areas. We have a resolution advocating for exactly what they think is the best solution, so we can continue to kind of put pressure on that and to continue these discussions and hopefully get these positions created and to help these areas long term. And I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. We now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions?
I know that there's like a bunch of university committees, none that like I guess state this exact what you're exactly looking for, but have you like looked at like the land lakes, I think it's called land lakes vegetation, or the land use one? Because I know like the land lakes one has sustainability in its realm and falls under all the responsibilities that the committee is responsible for.
I've talked to the director of sustainability, and I am on the sustainability committee, so we've talked about this there. And they also recommend that these areas have been a problem for a while. We've known they've been a problem. Even as we made the CALM plan before in 2004, we knew it was a problem. And so they said that they would also recommend, in their perspective, that we work towards hiring staff whose job it is to address these areas. We have staff who are told to manage these areas, but they're not trained in conservation, not trained in removing invasive species, and so we need really full-time staff whose job it is to start working on cleaning up these areas.
So this committee would focus mainly on only on eliminating the invasive species. Is that?
It would be on addressing any of the issues with them. Invasive species are one that they noted is present in all of the areas, all 49, however many we have. They have invasive species and they need cleanup. But they may be, when we have hired experts in there, that they identify other issues that we haven't before, because we simply just haven't had someone who's trained to know what the issues are to look at those areas. So they might identify others, and then they work within the university systems to say, here, how do we address those issues and do that, which is why part of their goals would be to finish developing and updating an update to that CALM plan, so they can say, this is what we identify the issues are, let's figure out a timeline on how we address those to the best of our abilities.
For the many committees we have, though, you don't think one of them could just do that too, instead of just making a whole other committee, since we already have so many?
Well, this wouldn't be a committee. This is just hiring experts to address them. But
Yeah.
I think they would work with the committees to do that. I know they've been working on updating the CALM plan for a couple of years now. So having these experts would, I think, help get them over the finish line and say we have experts who can really identify what our priorities should be on these areas to keep them safe. And then once these committees come and say this is our final plan, then we have experts in place to not only fix those areas, but also promote how to keep them from getting invasive species again. A lot of them have invasive species because of lack of education. Someone gets a plant and they have it in the window for a couple months, it dies, and then they put it into one of the invasive areas because they think it's dead, and then it's still alive and it grows and it takes over the entire area. And that's a direct, history of one of the invasive species that's in one of the areas that the grounds manager identified, right? So just having these experts would help us start to fight back against those things, as we have experts in the committees already making plans.
I support having an expert, and I think that this is like a great opportunity to work with and like add to like the land, lakes, and vegetation landscaping committee by like maybe like adding one of these experts to that committee. Like this is a good opportunity for some collaboration between your idea of a necessary expert and our existing committee's responsibilities and purposes. So like working together and adding this to that.
Yeah, and I definitely don't want these people to, they would not work independently, they'd work with the existing systems. We just simply don't have these experts hired on campus to fulfill these roles, and so these things are just going undone for decades at a time, which is what we really need to address. So
There's 20
Well,
seconds.
Okay,
Are we-
I'll wait for the debate then.
Yeah, I was gonna say wait for debate if you have debate points, but okay. Are there any more questions? All right, moving into 5 minutes of debate.
This sounds something important. I like the environment. I just didn't know something like this was happening, so it's good that you bring it up. I just don't think that we need to establish a team if we already have all these other like outlets that are working for like conservation in our environment. We can just kind of hone in on supporting these existing committees, and we just have to. I think we just need to like reword.
yeah,
Therefore, clause.
the use of the team is just for me, because I know, talking to the grounds expert, that ideally he would have 3 people hired for this, because the areas are so invasive and full of different plants, you want to send at least 2 people in at a time, and then that leaves room for people to be sick or away or working on other things. So he would ideally have 3 people, which is why I put it as a team. But I think if we reworded those therefore clauses to say, the hiring of experts versus the creation of a team, I think I'd be amenable to that, just to say we want these jobs to be done no matter what format the university thinks is best for that.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with Senator Rodriguez. I think that there are already a lot of committees that deal with this at the university level, and a lot of those committees which actually do need bolstering and help and support on their staffs, especially with the role and how active they actually are in conservation specifically. So I think rather than saying the establishment of a conservation management team, we could move into something like supports the addition of conservation management experts to relevant university committees related to like conservation issues.
Yeah, and I think that was my intent. I don't
Yeah.
want to create a
Yeah.
separate structure. I would rather have it as we want
Mhm.
experts to be hired in on these committees, so when the committees identify issues, we have someone who can address them, right?
Perfect.
And that's what we're lacking. So I'm open to the edits to modify that language.
Because all the other therefore clauses also mention this team, so I think it's just rewording all these therefore clauses, which might take a while, but if
It's
we're all
alright.
okay
Yeah.
with doing it, yeah. Nice.
I'm good with
Yeah?
amending it.
Okay. Then for the second therefore, would you be amendable to changing student senate supports that this team be empowered, just that this initiative be empowered? To, and then also change work closely with other universities, okay, wait, let's change the second therefore, first line. The Senate supports that this team be empowered to work closely with other university departments. To student senate supports that these individuals be empowered to work closely with other university departments.
Yeah, I would, these
Or
experts,
committees.
or it supports that
That the
these
existing
experts work closely with them, maybe. Like their job is to work closely with these existing structures.
Okay, yeah.
That's like our goal would be hiring these experts and saying we support that these experts work closely with these existing structures to make sure. Yeah. Okay.
What about the numbering? Are we allowed to list in a therefore clause like that and not be one? Like
I
the other?
asked Aaron about that, and he said he didn't have many background over that, but he thought it was fine. But if you guys disagree, I'm fine if we want to edit that and change it. But
I think it is fine. I would just say that we should go over it once we edit the main structured sentences of the therefore clauses to see if those edits then apply to the numbered list. But I don't think
The actual numbers.
yeah, I think a numbered
Yeah.
list is actually okay. I do know though that you don't want to start putting letters. I think it's no A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, do I hear any more debate? Okay, hearing none, we now move into any motions. Do I hear any motions at this time? Do I hear a motion to amend 1050 for the first, therefore let it be resolved clause to say that the University of Florida Student Senate supports the addition of conservation management experts. Supports the addition of conservation to existing and applicable committees. Applicable committees. And then we delete the establishment of a conservation management team responsible for, and then the colon, by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Okay. I'll show you what that looks like on here, Austin, and then you can tell me. Okay. Can everybody see that edit? Okay. Existing and applicable committees. Okay.
I move to amend SB 2025-1050 in the second therefore clause to remove that this team be empowered to work empowered to, and replace it with the University of Florida Student Senate supports that these experts work closely with, and so on, by unanimous consent.
All right. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. That these okay. Sorry. Just tell me if you can see these edits. Work closely with do I hear a motion in the final therefore clause to state that the University of Florida Student Senate encourages instead of urges these experts to contribute to the current state of the conservation areas and progress towards restoring these issues to the student body as often as is feasible.
Point of order. Should we do that, or should we say we urges these committees to report on this? Because the committees are the ones that are already reporting on these sort of things.
Sure.
And then we don't add any extra responsibilities.
Sounds good. Urges these committees to. What did I say? Encourage these committees to
Contribute.
Thank you. Contribute to the current state of the conservation areas and progress towards restoring these ideas to the student body as often as is feasible.
I move.
By unanimous consent.
So moved.
Thank you.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1050's second therefore clause to change that the University of Florida Student Senate supports that these experts be empowered to work closely with other university departments.
I think we already changed that.
Oh, we did the second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we already made
I
that.
rescind that motion.
Here, let's all go through that numbered list one more time.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1050's second therefore clause to switch this to these experts.
Oh, sorry.
Just
I don't know if it refreshed, but I
you
think,
changed
yeah,
it?
I did.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. I rescind that motion.
Point of order.
Yes.
If you scroll down, there's another page that has notes, and then another page with a quote.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Do you just?
It's
Do we
not
have to
on-
amend
It's
that?
on his end. It's not on his end. It's on our end.
Okay. No, we do not have to amend that. I don't really know why that's there. Also, how do I delete a page? Like, I feel like if I click delete,
Well,
yeah,
delete.
It
whole thing.
should delete.
it doesn't. Yeah.
Can you right click? What happens when you right click?
Can't you just?
Nope. Yeah.
Wait,
Oh, is it a
you can
page
also
break?
highlight.
Oh, is it a page
Maybe
break?
it's a page break.
Where do I go to a page break?
Wait,
Breaks.
that's you adding.
Go to format, hit like home tab, and then
Press review. It's like view home. 3. Like on Word, it's like it's on Word the home tab. What's that? Show hide.
So then I just
That has. Yeah.
wait. But then what do I do from here?
double click the page break to select it, and then press delete.
It's
Go
not,
back to the
it's not
thing.
letting me.
Go up.
Hold up.
No, go down to this one. Delete that one.
How do I delete it? Yeah, it's not letting me highlight it.
Double click.
I am double clicking.
Yeah, it's not working.
I don't know why it's doing that because I just downloaded it and I can it's letting me edit it just fine, download it. So I have no idea.
Really?
Yeah, once I download it, it's letting me do all that stuff.
It's not technically a part of the build.
I was gonna
so-
say,
Yeah.
yeah, because they're just blank pages.
Yeah.
We can pass it. I mean, I just deleted the things that were on the other pages. Those weren't what you submitted either.
Yeah.
So I guess let's just we can just go on from that. Okay.
In the first therefore clause, we've made it a full sentence, but we haven't made it responsible for those statements of for.
Sorry.
So
The first, therefore.
yeah, the addition of conservation experts to existing and applicable committees, and then we just have the list of 4.
Okay.
We could say addition of the experts to existing applicable committees towards the following goals.
Sure. So if you,
I move to amend SSB 2025-1050 in the first therefore clause to remove the period at the end and replace it with say management experts to existing and applicable committees towards the following goals: colon. By unanimous consent. Yes.
to existing and applicable committees towards the following goals.
Point of order. If someone needs to use the restroom, we can go.
You can just leave. Yeah.
Because we have to go.
You can go ahead. All right. So, do I hear any other motions on this bill?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1050 in the second to last therefore whereas clause to say, as a result of the ongoing challenges, a dedicated and professional conservation. Remove A and say, as a result of these ongoing challenges, dedicated and professional conservation management experts are necessary by unanimous consent. So
Where's
we're-
this? I'm sorry.
The second to last whereas clause,
Second to
because that
last.
also has the term team. And so,
Thank you. Okay.
Could you
Professional-
say that
yeah.
one more time?
as a result of these ongoing challenges, dedicated and professional conservation management experts are necessary to ensure that the areas are properly maintained.
Dedicated and professional conservation management experts are necessary to ensure.
By unanimous consent.
To ensure as a result of these. Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1050 by changing in the title team to experts in existing and did you edit that already?
No.
Okay.
No.
To existing and applicable committees at the University of Florida.
I
Would it-
object. Yeah.
Or what? Do you just want experts?
Would it say? Could we say resolution advocating for the addition of conservation management experts at the University of Florida?
Okay. Well,
I moved.
rescind my motion.
I moved to change the title to what I just said by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Addition of conservation management experts at the University of Florida.
And I think the last one is I moved to amend SSB 25-1050 in the last whereas clause to change the start of it from the creation of testing team to the addition of such experts, and leave the rest of the clause intact by unanimous consent. So just the last removing of the word team.
Addition of such experts. Okay. Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Addition of such experts. All right.
We did the second to last whereas clause, right?
Yes.
Team? Okay, cool. All right.
Yes.
We'll
All right.
refresh.
Do we want to read through this one more time? Just make
Mhm.
sure. Okay.
Oh, I forgot. There's an empty page.
I think it looks good. I think we removed all the references to team. I move to amend SSB 2025-1050 in the end of the fourth whereas clause to put a comma at the very end. By unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Wait, I just commanded F and I found a team.
Yeah, the last whereas clause,
I thought we moved to modify that.
is
The
it
creation of such team, of such a team.
I think
It
it
should be
says
such experts.
such experts.
Okay.
on
Mine
that.
just hasn't updated.
yet again, I guess.
What was the other one?
That was it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Also, I
Yeah,
move to
change.
pass SSB 2025-1050 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1050 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections?
I actually have a point of order. Is the spacing between student title, author, sponsors okay like that?
Yes.
Okay, then continue. By unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right. Okay, we now move into SSB 2025-1052. Seeing as there's no author or sponsor present, we now move into debate. The one point I would like to make is that we should change the title to say residence halls instead of dorm halls. It's referred to throughout, I think, the entire bill as residence halls, and technically residence halls are the correct name for it. So, I'll give everybody a minute to read through.
So, is this just like putting a static map of like the current routes inside the residence halls, or is this like a dynamic map like the app does? Because we reference the app for monitoring, tracking the bus routes and schedules is inefficient. But if we're putting a static map, does that help students know where the bus is, or does that just say the bus routes? I'm just trying to figure out what like the end goal of
Yeah,
this is.
I believe from the wording that I've looked at, it is to put a static map
Static
up.
map. Okay. It was confusing me the first time reading it to have that reference to the app showing the live location of the map of where the buses were.
Yeah, I think they're more using that, and obviously I can't interpret what they're actually writing, but or I can't put myself in their shoes, but I'll say that I think what they're intending to show is that because the app is, as the source claims, it's terrible by some of its users, they're showing that people having this kind of a static map up in dorms is going to help make it a lot more accessible and easier to locate where exactly stops are and where exactly the routes are going, rather than having to read the said app.
Okay.
So, let me make sure the sourcing is right for these. also will say that I will probably make a motion to amend the last therefore clause to just say, instead of the University of Florida must implement RTS, that encourages the implementation of RTS plus maps. Just don't want to sound like a jerk.
Should we, in the second to last therefore clause, say that therefore like result that the University of Florida Student Senate believes that the implementation of these maps does it, instead of just saying that the maps do this? Okay.
We can do that as well.
I also think the proviso needs to be single spaced, right?
Yes, it definitely does. So thank you for catching that. Okay. Is there any more debate? All right, hearing none, we move into motions. Do I hear a motion to amend 1052 to strike the words must and replace it with, or in the last therefore clause, and replace it with the University of Florida encourages the implementation of RTS bus maps in each dorm hall by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Okay.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1052 by editing the title to replace dorm halls with residence halls by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1052 by changing the spacing of the proviso line to single space
Do I hear any? Oh yeah.
by unanimous consent.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
We also need a period, I think, at the end of the proviso. Or is that fine?
Hmm.
Do we need a period at the end of the proviso?
In the past, it's been done. I would say sure, just for precedent's sake, if you want, but it's not the end of the world.
Okay. I move to amend 1052 by adding a period at the end of the proviso line by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1052 in the second to last therefore clause to add the words that the University of Florida Student Senate believes that the implementation and so on by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to pass SSB 2025-1052 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1052 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. We are now in line for SSB 2025-1053. Sorry, let me pull it up. Okay. So, seeing as there is an author present, would the author care to present? Senator Bannock, if you...
Yes, I'd love to.
5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this is 1053, correct?
Yes.
All right, so with respect to Bill 1053, I authored this alongside Graduate Senator Ceylon. This arises after issues that not only he has encountered, but alongside other students working alongside the DRC. The main point of this that is the most actionable is with respect to both Gator lift vans, which are accommodations provided to UF students that are dealing with either temporary or permanent disabilities to help them navigate campus, but as well as RTS's essentially equivalent paratransit option. He has experience in both of these instances alongside the normal bus options that RTS provides, where the wheelchair lift is non-operable on these options. regardless of the fact that ADA requires a wheelchair lift to be installed on these facilities for the exact reason to allow for people experiencing disabilities to be able to board properly. So that's the main objective of this bill. However, secondly is elaborating upon greater design of bus stops to make them more disability friendly. This is building upon prior resolutions that the Senate has passed. I had one open on my computer, but I'll be able to reference it again later. As it relates to the design of accessibility into these bus stops, as graduate Senator Ceylon affirmed that certain bus stops, especially those specifically denoted in the 5th whereas clause, don't have essentially the stop flush with where the bus might come into the bus stop, requiring additional vertical movement to be able to board the bus. You can imagine that in the instance that a bus is at a bus stop that isn't very accessible and the lift is broken, that would, in a sense, prevent someone dealing with disabilities from being able to board. In this instance, graduate Senator Ceylon, and this isn't written in the bill to contextualize to the committee, this occurred at a bus stop that wasn't accessible, the lift was broken, and the bus driver, it's not in the bus driver's contract to manually help someone onto the bus, so it just became a very big predicament in that instance, and he wasn't able to actually use the public transit that is a resource for all UF students. So this is calling attention to, again, one, those buses and paratransit vans that have an inoperable wheelchair lift, to call attention to the fact that some might be broken. 2, calling attention to the design of the bus stops themselves to facilitate boarding. And those are the 2 main things out of this bill. But I yield my time to any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. We are now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have one. Sorry. I waited a little for it. For the second therefore clause, I'm a little confused with requiring training courses. Is that legal? Because I know the IFA, Individual Freedom Act, that was passed, kind of says that you can't have courses required for employment.
I'm unfamiliar with what you're referencing with IFA. Reading the second therefore clause, nowhere do I mention a requirement for the course. We are just recommending upon RTS, in the event that they don't have disability awareness training, alongside any other training that they require for their employees, that we are supporting such to be in existence. But nowhere are we requiring things, nor is that under the ability of a student senate resolution.
What I'm understanding is that you want to implement training courses so that they're going to have to take those courses.
No, again, we're just calling upon RTS through the form of a recommendation to implement disability awareness training in the event it is not already part of their training, as upon public search we were unable to find any specifics from RTS or the city as to what disability awareness training their bus drivers receive at present.
Did you never asked RTS or?
We have been in conversations on the matter, but we did not engage in dialogue with respect to whether or not they currently have training courses. That's why, as we baked into the resolution, if they do not have one already in place.
I think my question right here is on the same topic here. I think the last subclause of that, therefore, it has the word require there, and so requiring that annual continuation. I think I don't know the law well enough to know what the issues are.
Ron DeSantis passed it in 2022. They're going to search it up.
Yeah, so I would say if the idea is to create that training course on the recommendation, it would improve them, but it would not be a required course. I think changing that word require to allow annual continuation, I think would that hit your same goal there, to allow a continuation without going into the requirement and avoiding issues with that law?
Yeah, I'm fine. Requirement is just semantics. We're just issuing a recommendation upon RTS in the event they don't already have this training in place. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm fine with any amendment to the verbiage there specifically. But just interacting, I'm not sure I fully understand how IFA, because I thought that was relevant to like professors teaching. How is that relevant to mandating of training of city employees?
I will say that I don't think IFA is the specific legislation that
Okay.
is
Okay.
yeah.
Understood.
I don't think those two relate.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I was just-
I was going to save it for debate, and then
Okay,
we can
understood.
yeah. Let me chill. All right. Do I hear any more questions? Okay. Moving into debate. Yeah, the one thing about this. Sorry, 5 minutes of debate. The one thing is the saying that we recommend that RTS implement a training course, and then, if so, requiring annual continuation. Currently, I actually don't know the name of the piece of legislation, but I do know that it is right now being heard in Florida court cases. I was talking to, I believe it actually was Chairman Rubai, and we were talking about specifically how some of the DEI legislation that has come up through the state of Florida, because of the broad nature of the legislation, it's gone to all types of training courses, because the legislation that's being challenged in the courts essentially bans any type of DEI related training course. And because of how broad it is, we're concerned that disability might fall under that. That's currently being
Disabilities
decided out.
They're afforded special privileges under ADA. I don't see how.
Yeah, and
that's
that's my thought as well, but I am not exactly sure. I definitely want to come out of this resolution not trying to get us into legal trouble for recommending that.
I understand that. Yeah.
How would that get us into legal trouble for recommending it? I mean, we're not required. If we
Yeah.
lean away from the word requirement and we say we recommend it,
Yeah, that's kind of. I'm sorry.
And we
that's
could
kinda
add,
weird.
implement a disability
Yeah.
training course as possible with applicable law.
That's
If we
perfect.
add that, I think to
Yeah.
make it very clear, I think
Yeah.
I would like to make that so we still keep the original intent of this,
Yeah.
which is that training course, which I think is
Sure.
important if we have those
Yeah.
steps.
No, my apologies if that's what it came across as, but yeah,
No,
basically
no.
eliminating the word requirement for the annual continuation course. So.
Yeah, I think leaning away so we know it can't come off as that. I think
Yeah.
is fair.
Sounds fine.
Yep. Okay. Do I hear any more debate?
Max, I want to apologize to the IFA that it's for public schools.
No worries. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And do I hear any more debate?
Would you be willing to cut down on the proviso,
Looking towards the proviso.
such as the interim university president?
Yeah, we could remove Fox.
I
Are there any others that you have
The
particular issue with?
TAPS.
I want to remind committee members I want to remind everybody in the room that only committee members are allowed to speak during debate.
Oh,
But
sorry.
no, you're good. It's just
Sorry for asking you.
moving to yeah. I would say out of all the proviso names applicable, I think that everyone after Mark Helms is perfectly fine to stay. I think the rest of them are, to be frank, probably not applicable to the specific resolution, but that's my opinion on it. So,
Are you saying inclusive to include Mark Helms or remove Mark Helms?
remove Mark Helms? Everybody from planning, design, and construction director down.
Do you think we need all those TAPS people? I think we just want to be fine.
Yeah, customer service, office manager, associate director of operations, senior director. I would say associate director of operations, and the business services one probably not as well. But if you,
I was just going to say, I'm fine with removing the subordinates for TAPS. It's just as it relates to Helms. He's the person I've worked with on prior facilities things, and I know for the design of bus stops, that's collaborative between TAPS and facilities. So
Okay.
I would say he should stay.
all right.
And I've had conversations with Will McDonald before, and I think he's very good at getting in touch with his subordinates. So I think removing the other two TAPs, but I think we would be fine.
Sure.
He's really good at that. So
All right. Do I hear any more debate? Hearing none, we now move into 2 minutes of final privilege.
Again, I think this is a really important piece of legislation. It harps on one of my focuses, which is disability accessibility on campus. This is an express concern that has been relayed in the part of my co-author, Graduate Ceylon, speaking for many others, disabled Gators that are attempting to navigate our campus as the way we are all have the privilege to be able to do. And we were able to identify a couple main points where those disabled individuals are facing challenges on campus. So I think this is a no-brainer, and I look forward to seeing you all support it. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move into, do I hear any motions at this time?
Move to amend SSB 2025-1053 by striking in the proviso from interim university president Ken to Mark Helms, and then also eliminating TAP's associate director of operations Ron Fuller and TAP's customer service officer manager Adams Wells.
Order. Is that removing Mark Helms or keeping Mark Helms?
Removing Fuller, Wells, keeping McDonald,
Yeah.
and then eliminating Mark Helms. It's like eliminating interim university president to Mark Helms,
Okay.
and then eliminating the two TAPs that aren't McDonald's, since you said TAPs
Yeah.
McDonald's would be the best one to keep.
Yeah, McDonald I think is right. I was just saying we asked about Mark Helms and the author said that that's the person they've been communicating with. So I would not be
Okay.
as for removing Mark
So-
Helms. I'd like to keep him, but I think the rest would work out fine.
Okay. Then striking interim university to White, and then the two TAPs that isn't McDonald by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay, so then all the TS people that are will, or all the TAPS people that are will. Sorry. Okay.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1053 in the second therefore clause to modify it so it reads that the University of Florida Student Senate recommends RTS implement a disability awareness training course in the event that they do not already have one in place as possible by law, and if so, allow annual continuation training for all bus drivers by unanimous consent.
Sorry, I'm typing it. Allow. They do not have. As possible by law, and if so, allow annual continuation training for all bus drivers. Okay, can you see if that changed? I'll motion it in a second. I just want everybody to take a look. Okay, annual continuation training for all bus drivers. Alright, do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Point of order, on your side, does it show as panned? If so, in the second therefore, the grammar, or for the second therefore,
Does it show what?
as panned? If so,
It showed me that until I refreshed it again.
Again?
Yeah, I think that's just where it did its random save with the weird wording.
refresh.
Okay. Alright.
I move to pass SSB 2025-1053 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1053 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. We now move into consideration of SSB 2025-1054. There we go, 1-5. Thank you. Seeing as that there is an author present, you have 5 minutes whenever you're ready, Senator back.
Right, so as it relates to 1054, I've actually had two constituents reach out to me privately asking for our student government to install these call pods. So I've received multiple points of feedback, and in doing peer institution evaluations alongside my co-author, graduate Senator Ceylon, I found that UCF has, I believe, 15 of these in their largest library, what we would equate to Marston here. And then Ceylon, in his undergraduate, he attended UConn, and we found the specifics at UConn in their Babbage Library, which again is their largest library. where they have anywhere from 4 booths, I believe, on the ground floor to a couple of floors have around 2, and then on the quiet floor they have 1. And considering the more one-time nature of SG projects, as well as some of the executive funds as it relates to the color of money, I think this would be a very valid use of our student government funds, as we would be able to collaborate alongside libraries, as well as the Rights Union Board of Managers regarding placement of these pods. Again, this is just calling for collaboration moving forward, but I think this is something that everyone would be able to make use of at one point in their academic journey. I yield the rest of my time.
Right. We now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? I do have one question actually.
Yeah.
So how much would the proposed call pods cost?
So that depends. That was something I was researching on my end. It really depends on which provider you get these pods from. Looking towards the UConn and UCF examples, there were 2 different providers, and I think the cost is really dependent on if you get one that has like charging interfaces on the inside, because that would obviously increase the cost. But
Sure.
like just doing some call pod cost. They can range anywhere from like the low thousands up to the low 5 figures. So it also, like, for example, looking at the Babbage example, on some of the floors, this isn't written in the whereas when we look at UConn. However, I believe on one of the floors it has like a 2-person call pod. My intent is really just 1-person call pod to be able to take a phone call. However, at UConn, some of the pods, they ordered multiple styles, where those 2-person to be able to have like a meeting between 2 people. So again, it just depends on which type we get.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
The information you're using is from 2015 to 2019. Do you have any more recent big data?
Which citation are you citing?
Let me, sorry, I did this beforehand. Let me see them.
In the meantime, sorry, you talk about student government has the capacity to allocate other executive account funds or Senate project funds to procure and install these pods. Do you know what the amount in both those funds are?
I believe the Senate projects line item currently for this year was increased to something around 80, I want to say. I'd have to look again at the budget. And then for the executive line, I'm not entirely familiar because there's not a specific line entitled executive projects, I don't believe.
Okay.
I'm not on the executive, so I can't speak to which lines. However, I know in collaborating on a totally different piece of legislation, former Vice Chair Quattrochi was attempting to work alongside Brinkman for the NAP pods, and I believe there were some executive funds that could have been allocated towards that. So again, I'm not as familiar with the flavor of money. I just know Senate projects line is in the 5 figures. And also, this is like a challenge to all of you. During my 2 terms, I'm still unfamiliar as to how the Senate projects line is allocated. Because I recall during my first term, we had passed a bill allocating $2K for the development of a renewed RTS app, and that was actually vetoed by then Student Body Treasurer Pierre on the grounds that it is the Senate's ability to use their own funds, so it didn't need to be in the form of legislation. So insofar as that is true, I don't even know how the Senate projects line is used. But again, one of you may be able to better answer that for me.
I don't know if this was already addressed, but for Senate project funds, how much money does the Senate project funds have?
So that's what Vice Chair Bravo just brought up, so I can pull it up right now. UF budget, student government.
I tried searching it up and I couldn't find it.
Okay, so I'm pulling up the budget right now. Because it was amended for this year, it used to be a lot less. So current fiscal year, right there. So student government budget, SG. Okay, so it's the Senate line is $60K. So that was amended from before, it was just under 10K. And then I think when I'm referring to executive funds, that would be then the SG projects line, and that is just over 150,000. So combined between the Senate and the SG projects line, you're looking at just over 200,000. And again, I cannot speak to how these funds are allocated within the executive or the Senate, just that the funds exist.
So executive is 150 and then Senate is how much was it?
So it's the SG projects line as proposed for fiscal year 24-25 in the administrative account was 152K500, and then the Senate line proposed for fiscal year 24-25 was 60K.
And you haven't spoken to people in like Senate and the exec to where
I've
it's
spoken
allocated?
with people on budget, and I didn't receive too much insight as to how these funds were to or are to be tapped into. And again, based off the instance I brought up with the RTS funding, I'm still unfamiliar how the Senate projects line is allocated. That's why I wrote this in the form of a resolution, just that we're supporting the potential use of funds for things such as this, as opposed to me submitting like a budget bill and defending this before budget.
Would you be amendable to like changing the therefore to say like potential allocation of funding, and the first therefore supports the potential allocation?
Yeah, that could be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, another question.
Yeah.
For the first therefore for adding potential allocation and also if deemed necessary by respective areas. So like the executive funds and Senate project funds by the, just to clarify basically on the therefore clauses, just for like legal reasons, that'd be potential allocation of funding if deemed necessary and seen as available.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah?
that's fine.
Okay, awesome.
Are there any more questions? Okay, hearing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Do I hear any debate? And,
I really like this idea, even though I was one who was asking most of the questions. It is a great idea. There's details that have to go into it, but I feel like this is a great start and an initiative, and hopefully one day we can see it in these libraries. It would be really good.
Yeah, I think this is something where I think we have to do a good job of balancing, like, there are funds available, but not saying, let's mandate using those funds. Let's say we're using X amount of money. It's saying, we think we have these funds available, let's look into using those funds for this purpose, but, you know, obviously it's also a collaboration with UF Libraries and the Rights Union to figure out what's best. And I think that's the best way of doing it, is just saying, let's have a discussion and figure out how much it would cost, where the money would come from, without, you know, nailing anything into the ground in this resolution, which I think is really well done. I think rewording it as you were asking, I think does alleviate to make it more clear, but I think it does an okay job.
Yeah, this is a great idea. I just don't know if we should, with all this information that we need to do, table. That's what I was going to go with.
I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
I don't think
Just to
tabling-
get greater clarification, because this is a great idea.
Mhm.
It can't be tabled. The authors won't be here.
Yeah, it would fail over at the end. But I think it's possible to, if we reword it to make it so we don't have any legal things, and we're not committing to spending the money, we're committing to like investigating. I think it's something where it would allow the authors and the sponsors, even after this, to say the Senate is supporting this idea. Let's have a discussion on what that would mean, and then obviously something would have to come up in front of the budget if they were trying to use those funds to do anything else, right? So I think this just opens the door to saying the Senate supports looking further into this initiative and what it could possibly mean, and then the Senate would get another vote on how that money is spent, if it is spent. So I think I would rather amend it to make it clear and then pass it so the authors have that chance versus tabling it. But that's my personal opinion on that.
If we were to table this, someone can take it up and finish it.
I just don't think. I think. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think.
Because it's a great idea and everything. I just think that we need to have proper information, talk to the necessary people.
I think
before making this resolution.
I think I'm comparing this one to the sleep pods one we had earlier this semester, which I think was very similar. I think it didn't touch on funding at all, but I think we passed that one for that. So I think if we want to avoid the funding thing entirely, I think we could put it in the exact same vein as the sleep pods. But
That was what I was going to suggest. I remember the Malachowski sleep pods bill, and that had a lot less like funding specifics. And whenever we include that, obviously we want to make sure we've reached out and done the proper, accounting homework needed for that. I think as long as there are edits to that, I don't see a problem.
yeah, I think if we want to make it similar to that bill and just remove references to funding entirely, I think that might be a way to make sure we're safe on that.
And
but
in
yeah.
final privilege, the author can
Yeah.
say whether he's amendable to that. Okay. Do I hear any more debate?
No.
Hearing none. 2 minutes of final privilege.
Again, I think this is a great idea. Judging by the sentiments in the room, I think we could all make use of something like this. I especially don't like being outdone by a non-preeminent institution such as UCF. So with that in mind, I think this would be something that we should definitely be allocating more funds towards and focusing on.
Okay. You wait for Mr. Town?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right. Do I hear any motions at this time? Do I hear a motion to strike the second to last whereas clause by unanimous consent?
So moved.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. And then
So I move to amend SSB 2025-1054. First, therefore, clause to read: University of Florida Student Senate formally supports the potential allocation of funding supports. Well, University of Florida Student Senate formally supports
you could just delete the allocation of funding part and procurement.
the procurement and okay, that sounds good. Sorry, I'm just really bad with grammar. Okay, so I move to amend SSB 2025-1054 by striking in the first therefore the allocation of funding for by unanimous consent.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I hear a motion to amend the last whereas clause to read the potential responsibility for maintaining the call pod in the rights union by unanimous consent? Do I hear a motion to amend the last whereas clause to strike the word would for the UF library staff and replace it with could by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
point of order to edit Proviso. Do you guys think that we need both the senior associate and library associate? Is that how I use point of order? That's what question to us.
Personal information.
Personal information. Is that how I say it?
Yeah.
Or information.
Point of personal information for the Proviso. Do you think we both need senior? Please correct me.
Just go.
Do we need both senior associate and UF Libraries associate dean for access and technical services? What do you guys think?
I don't know which one of them would be.
Because I do
More
think we
in
need
charge.
libraries director and the ex officios, I guess, or right?
Yeah. Without knowing how their duties separate, I think sending it to both isn't the worst thing. I'm saying make sure it gets to the right place, but
All right. Do you think we need both student body president, Brinkman, and the elect? I think with just one of them, we're good.
I would-
With the
Honestly, I don't think they're really pertaining to
I mean, historically we've not sent it to the university president. We don't send it to the student body president because they have to sign it anyways.
Yeah, we're elect, so.
So I think we need to remove those. That's fine.
so, okay.
I don't know about the
great.
president-elect or how that would
Yeah.
interact with when we do this and who would sign it, but I think it's,
So we just keep the elect, is what I'm hearing.
Uh,
Yeah.
No, I don't. The
Or
student body
none of the-
president
Right,
elect.
both,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think that particularly matters.
Okay, perfect.
I move to, or do I hear a motion to amend the proviso to delete from interim to white by unanimous consent? Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Have we also typically, did I just miss this, but do we typically have the author also in the proviso?
No, we do not. Thank you.
So then I move to amend SSB 1055 to strike Senator Max Bannock from the proviso line.
I don't think I have standing, but I have precedents where my legislation has passed with my own name in it.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've tried not to do that over the past couple, and we even deleted one in the actual chamber doing that. I don't know. Yeah.
I do that just to get an idea on the delay from the secretaries.
Okay. Yeah. At least at all the meetings I've been to so far, Aaron is just taking precedent for that. Honestly, I don't see Max in the proviso.
neither do I.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't
I
find them.
have it.
It could be in one of the others,
Oh, maybe it is in my own.
because I definitely wrote it in one of these.
All right.
Yeah, I don't see it.
All I see in the proviso
See on
is
this
Rights
one.
Union Board Manager's Chair, Rights Union. ex
Oh wait, I was
officios.
thinking. Yeah, wait, I was when I was in my motion.
There's many of them.
And
Yeah, there's one here.
um,
Bills.
what do we think about UF Libraries? Send it to. There's 3 names on here.
Yeah, I think with just UF Libraries Associate Dean for Access and Technical Services.
Patrick Reeks.
Yeah.
So we'll keep the highest one.
So I move to amend SSB 2025-1054 by eliminating UF Libraries Associate Dean for Access and Technical Services Ben Walker and Libby Evans. From UF Libraries Associate Dean to Evans. And by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay.
Do we need to amend the proviso to add the word "and" between the now last?
Can indeed.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1054 to add the word "and" right before the last name of the proviso by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay.
I move to. Actually, let me just read this over. Okay. I move to pass SSB 2025-1054 by unanimous consent.
There's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1054 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. Now move into SSB 2025-1055. Okay. because there's an author present. 5 minutes whenever you're ready, Senator.
All right. So, as it relates to 1055, this is one that I was really inspired by while I was in Austin over this past summer, as linked in subcitation 2A. You can see a link to Google Maps, but essentially at UT what they have is at their main thoroughfares, it's a burnt orange sign. Similar to what we do at our major intersections is blue with a white surrounding for the lettering. However, at UT, what they add is the horn logo. So I recognize that here at UF, as it relates to our brand identity, we try to reserve the athletic logo towards athletic uses only. So I believe I have verbiage in here that kind of makes this ambiguous, and I say that we could just use like the UF logo specifically. It doesn't have to specifically be the Gator athletic logo, but I can elaborate more on that later. But just generally, the main call to action in this is the fact that we are not uniform at all on campus. As I mentioned in the example, in the resolution that I point to at the intersection of Stadium and Gale, I believe is a, what did I say, a normal green sign? Yeah, normal green road sign, but then when you go further south on Gale, then it uses that blue and white lettering, which doesn't make much sense. And then when you look towards more minor intersections such as Maury and Sable Palm, and this is more uniform, they use the blue background with the orange lettering. So ideally we have blue backgrounds throughout, minimum is what I would hope to accomplish through this, but the real call to action is blue background, orange lettering with the addition of either the UF emblem or should facilities appreciate using the athletic logo, though I don't believe they would considering how they've designed now the new building signs. It could just be the UF insignia. So with that, I'll yield the rest of my presentation time.
Thank you. We're now live for 5 minutes of questions. Are there any questions?
Have you spoken to TAPS about this? And
So,
if so, how much funding do you think is necessary? To
So
do that?
signage specifically, I have spoken with the senior directive McDonald on this issue, and he said that all signage relates specifically to facilities, as the roads themselves and the insignia are not at the discretion of TAPS. However, I have been in communication with one of the project managers from facilities as it relates to the tactile paver project that I've been working on, and they're open to receiving any and all incoming potential projects similar to this. So I include McDonald still on this as it could be a point of collaboration, but that's just more to follow up with him based off the prior conversations I've had with him, but this project would mainly be under facilities.
And do you know how much it would cost?
So again, I don't have any cost analysis in here as it is up to the university. That's why I don't say specifically like replace all signs, period. That would be unrealistic. I just cite a few different instances where we use at least 3 different signage types. I'm calling for a degree of uniformity. So I cannot answer your question as to how much it would cost.
Is your the discussion you've been having with facilities, is that Mark Helmuth in the proviso?
So Mark Helms is the person that should receive everything. The project manager I've been speaking with specifically, I believe her name is Wendy. I can pull that up 1 second.
Bless you.
Kate Farmer, and she was under facilities, and now she's working under now director of planning, Linda Dixon, under that separate department, but she's still doing the same project manager work, and it just falls in line with Mark Helms is the head of facilities, and he would delegate this project in any other, because this whole suite is mainly delegated towards into continue a conversation with Helms. He's a very busy individual, so he delegates any project I've sent him in the past.
Okay.
All right. Okay. questions? We now move into 5 minutes of debate. It'll just probably be some proviso fixes. There's one, I think the second to last whereas clause, it says then, and then the last one it says and. We'll just flip those. And then just a couple wording changes of saying things like, I think things like the Senate encourages instead of calls upon, just things like that. But other than that, I think this is a well-written bill. So thank you for coming and presenting. Do I hear any more debate? Okay. Seeing none, 2 minutes final privilege.
Again, I think this is a great idea. Again, during my institutional or peer institution assessment, I don't want us to be outdone by any of the other members of the SEC, so I think this would be a great bill.
Okay. All right, and you waive the rest of your time?
Yep.
All right, and now we are in line for any motions. Do I hear any motions at this time?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1055 to, and the first therefore clause, which calls upon to encourages by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1055 to change the then in the second to last whereas clause to and the and in the last whereas clause to then by unanimous consent.
Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
I move to amend SB 2025-1055 by striking student body president John Brinkman from the proviso by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I hear a motion to strike from student body president elect Blake Cox to? You said it does not. This does not fall under TAPS's purview. Sorry, Senator.
This would be facilities, but
Facilities.
I wanted to continue the line of conversation I've been having with McDonald. That's why I kept
Okay.
him in the proviso.
Then to the name Brandy Renton by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay.
So
And
here there's your name,
No.
Senator Max Bannock. So
yeah.
I'm gonna move to amend SSB 2025-1055 by striking Senator Max Bannock from the proviso by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I hear a motion to remove the name Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Heather White, from the proviso by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. And it should be. Okay. Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1055 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1055 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. We're now in line for SSB 2025-1056. You have 5 minutes presentation time whenever you're ready, seeing if there's author present.
Alright, so for 1056, I'm pulling it up right now. This is keeping in line with the same thought with 1055. Instead, we're focusing on pedestrian signage. One of the issues I've encountered as a bicyclist on campus, especially in areas such as Turlington, is a lot of individuals will be meandering on any part of any walkway. This applies to any given crosswalk on campus. So what we're doing here, and building on conversations I've had with the Director of Planning, Dixon, as well as the prior interim Director of TAPS before McDonald, issues like these in Turlington can most easily be addressed through added signage, recognizing that Turlington specifically may not reach the bounds for, as required under FDOT, to be considered a dismount zone. So adding signage for people to keep right, I think would mainly alleviate this issue, as the main collisions that I've observed occur when people are trying to keep left when there's someone coming directly in front of them. And then I add some contextualizing information as it relates to how we can use the Keep Right sign. And then to provide an example, I've seen a Keep Right sign used for pedestrian usage at my employer this past summer, which was at a semiconductor manufacturing facility, recognizing that they might be carrying test lots between machines to be able to analyze them, so they don't want to accidentally walk into someone when each wafer is in the tens of thousands of dollars. So that's what really informed this bill, and I think it would make a lot of sense, and it would prevent a lot of unneeded accidents.
Okay. All right, we now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions?
Have you talked to TAPS about this, and if so, funding?
Yeah, again, so I did speak with the prior interim director before McDonald, and they suggested that signage would be the best thing. So this conversation has been had already. And again, on funding, this would likely come from facilities, and in speaking with the interim director, which I believe is also the current director of the ODOM, I could pull up her name if you'd like. She was saying that this would be in conjunction with both facilities and UPD as it relates to the enforcement of the signage. But again, I can't answer your question on funding specifically. Likely, this would be more of a suggestion that we're levying upon facilities to incorporate in their design moving forward, and more of a recommendation. So yeah, I don't think I have much funding discussion in this, beyond calling upon this to occur.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
Would you be amenable to cutting down the proviso?
Yeah, you could remove
Provost, Brinkman, Blake Cox.
for business affairs. I believe the signage is under Renton's purview, so I'd be fine removing through Glover. However, I would preserve, because I believe when it came to the, as I hinted at, the standardization of the building signs, I believe some of that communication was coming from the business affairs office. But I'd be fine removing up through Glover, as well as you could remove White, but the rest of these people are people pertinent to the project.
All right. Are there any more questions? Hearing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate?
I just think that we need to change calls a button to encourages in the first therefore, and strike from such to lawn in the second therefore, just to not say like the specific areas. I think to not restrict us to these certain areas and just make it wherever it's needed.
Yeah, I would just say on that point, I was going to recommend that as well, just because we'll give, I believe it's the director of planning in their or facilities office purview over whether or not where they want to put that. So we'll leave the recommendations out and let them do their job. That's all.
We also have been removing sourcing from the therefore, so we should remove the
Yes, we have been doing that as well.
the sourcing in that fourth therefore clause. But that source is used elsewhere, so I don't think that takes away from anything.
No, not at all. Okay, so do I hear any more debate? Hearing none, we now move into motions. Do I hear a motion to strike from the second therefore clause the words from such to effectiveness by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Do I hear a motion to remove source 6 from the third to last therefore clause by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. And do I hear a motion to, in the first therefore let it be resolved clause, replace the words call upon with encourages by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1056 by, in the proviso, eliminating student body all the way to Renton, and then also striking Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Heather White, from the proviso by unanimous consent.
Is this removing Renton?
Yeah.
Because the author stated that Renton was important
Okay.
for this.
Then
for
Glover,
uniform.
student body to Glover, and then Heather White from the proviso by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1056 by changing in the second to last whereas clause then to and then in the last whereas clause and to then by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1056 by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right. We're now in line for SSB 2025-1057. Senator Bannock, 5 minutes presentation.
For 1057, let me pull that up. So this, again, the first three in the suite are on signage. This is one that I think a lot of us can sympathize with as it relates to people on e-scooters utilizing the crosswalk. It is noted in one of these whereas clauses that the only two areas where the e-scooters are able to be used are the bike lanes and the crosswalks. However, considering the competing pedestrian traffic, what we're essentially calling for in this bill is signage to encourage e-scooter users to make use of the bike lane instead, considering the drastic increase in the prevalence of these e-scooters, especially within just this past year. I believe it's come to the point where they've almost overtaken normal bikes. So I just want to reinforce the uniqueness and the time pressingness of this resolution before the committee, as in the first whereas clause of the second page, UPD says they're not making any changes to how they're addressing scooters. I think this is part of why we've seen so many scooter accidents recently, is they're just treating them not uniquely, which is lending towards a lot of these accidents occurring. But yeah, I'll yield to any questions.
All right. Moving into question and answer. 5 minutes for a question and answer. Do I hear any questions this time? Hearing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate? I think, again, just changing urges to encourages, and removing some of the names from the proviso should be all. We can clarify that.
How
But
much longer do we have quorum for?
I'm going to be honest, that's why I'm trying to move quick.
Yeah,
Probably like
the rest of them I think are written by the same author. So
15 minutes.
Yeah, I just want to give a heads up if we're running on one time.
Yeah, I want to get Max's through, so
Yeah.
let's.
I just don't want you to have to
I've
spend
not
5
received-
minutes doing things
Very chilling.
for each
Alright.
one if we're.
Does anyone have like restraints, like someone has to leave?
I mean, I have to leave at like 9:15 was my intended time. 20's pushing it. We can just bang through these though.
You mean 6:50?
Or, yeah, 6:20. Sorry.
Yeah.
Jeez, my bad.
All right.
I was like, we're gonna be here till 9.
No,
I've only got 3 more hours.
I
Okay.
don't have that much.
I got time.
I don't.
All right, so
Okay, so
do I hear-
I move to amend SSB 2020.
we're still on debate. Do I hear any more debate? Not seeing none. We now move into motions.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1057 by changing urges to encourages in the first therefore clause by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
And then I move to amend SSB 2025-1057 by cutting the proviso student body President John Brickman all the way to Renton by unanimous consent.
Are there-
Same as the previous one. Renton was important in that last.
Okay,
one.
then from to Glover
Okay.
by unanimous consent.
All right. And, are there
And
any
then-
objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1057 by eliminating Heather White from Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Heather White, by unanimous consent from the proviso.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Actually, I will actually ask the author, is there any specific reason why certain reporters are in here?
So that is following up on the sources that I've
Okay.
made use of that were covering specifically injuries, and then as it relates to the last two, Caleb Curtis and Brittany Dixon, that was the one specific source in the I believe it's the in-text citation 5. So just keeping in line with concerns that have been made public to address those concerns. But that's why they were added.
Okay. All right, so we'll keep those in there. Thank you for clarifying that. All right, do I hear any more motions at this time?
I move to amend.
Somebody's excited.
I move to. Is there a reason why public health major Caleb
Yeah,
Curtis?
we need to
Oh.
address that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
He's someone who got into a e-scooter accident.
Okay, got it. So I move to pass SSB 2025-1057 by unanimous consent.
All right, there's been a motion made to pass SSB 2025-1057 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay, we are now in line for SSB 2025-1058. 5 minutes whenever you're ready.
Okay, so this is one that I was collaborating alongside now Senator Emeritus Quattrocchi back in the fall. We were waiting on some PRRs to come back, and I have another outstanding PRR as it relates to specific activation frequency, and I can elaborate on that in questioning period. However, the most important whereas that I want you all to lend your attention to is in clause citation 10, I believe this is the sixth whereas, as unfortunately UF most recently in 2023 reported the highest number of sexual battery and rape cases. I think this is an unfortunate reflection on the current state of our campus, and oftentimes this has been presented to me quite frequently by constituents under the request for privacy as it relates to certain areas that are noted in the whereas clause where there is a lack of blue lights, and that they felt like there was a need for these blue lights to have been there to be able to lean on. I know prior SG debate on the subject of blue lights has deferred to the presence of the app to be able to function the same. However, I would like to note before the committee that just the presence of I believe it's the Gator Safe app, does not preclude the usage of these blue lights. As you can see, the blue lights are still being activated in the whereas clause we provide. And then moreover, too, in a lot of these instances where an individual may be under duress and in need of a blue light, they might not have their faculties to be able to use a phone, one, or two, still be in possession of their own mobile device. So I think this is something we can all unite around. As I know when I was visiting universities before committing to UF, it was a point of privilege by a lot of universities to say that from any blue light on campus, you can see the next blue light within your vicinity. However, as it relates to the specific locations I compiled with our co-author, unfortunately, there are specific areas where there's a broad lack of blue lights. So again, I think this is a good idea. I'd be interested to see what you all have to say about it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We now move into 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we now move into 5 minutes of debate. This is a very well-timed bill, thanks to the statistics that you provided. I do think that it is a big point on our campus to encourage safety. And then from what I see, honestly, one thing I'll say is we should probably, again, just like with the last signage bill, leave it up to the discrepancy of UFPD as to where some of these locations are. The non-exhaustive list of locations, you said you put those there because those were places where people had.
Yeah, I've received reports, relating to multiple of these locations,
Sure.
and then these were reinforced by cross-referencing the campus map. There's a overlay you can use for the locations of all blue lights, and these were the areas where there wasn't one within, I believe the rule of thumb we used was just about a quarter-mile vicinity.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Keeping that, did you also, there's just a random grammar error in there where it says
Yeah,
like
the
and instead of
and then the last whereas has to be then.
Okay.
I just noted those two.
Thank you. And then I guess for this debate purpose, I'll say that actually, and you can answer this too, Max, are you going to be amendable if we just say for the installation of blue lights at any locations where UFPD may deem it necessary?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Great.
Could we modify it to remove the first therefore entirely and then just make the second one kind of a combination? It urges UFPD and your facilities to conduct a comprehensive analysis to identify areas where blue lights are needed to get rid of beyond those noted in this resolution, and then to ensure full campus coverage.
Yeah,
so we say
that's perfect.
Okay.
I think they cover the same point. And
Yeah.
I think that they'll be both equally as valuable.
Mm.
So, all right. Do we have any more debate? Hearing no debate, we now move into motions. Are there any motions at this time? Do I hear a motion to amend 1058 to delete the first therefore clause, change it to, instead of therefore let it be further be resolved, therefore let it be resolved, and say the University Student Senate urges you. Yeah, that's it. By unanimous consent. Okay, are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. And then
I move to amend
Oh, yeah.
SSB 25
Thank you,
1058 to change the last the and in the last whereas clause to then, and to remove the source 3 in the I guess now second therefore clause by unanimous consent.
are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. I also forgot to edit one of your thing.
I can make it.
You got it, yeah.
I move to amend SB 25-1058 in the now first therefore clause to make it read, therefore let it be resolved that the UF Student Senate urges UFPD and UF facilities to conduct a comprehensive campus-wide assessment to identify areas where blue lights are needed and to ensure full campus coverage by unanimous consent.
Do I hear any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes to ensure full.
I move to amend.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1058 by changing the last whereas to read then comma at the very end by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. There's some stuff in the proviso. Do I hear a motion to amend the SSB 2025-1058 to strike the names interim university president Ken Fox, student body president John Brinkman, student body president Blake Cox, Heather White, and sorority and fraternity affairs Simone Horman.
I will say we have been in correspondence with Horman, and this is something that her office is invested in, so I think she should remain in proviso.
Okay. All right. Noted, and we will remove through to White from the beginning of the proviso by unanimous consent.
So moved.
So moved.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, the motion passes. I will say, even if this were to pass, would this be under Horman's purview, I guess, technically?
It wouldn't be under purview. I just recall when we were drafting this that Roman said that her office has been working on similar things, which is why we had entered correspondence with her. And we're looking, I think they were looking more towards something passing before actually having a meeting.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay.
it is something they are interested in.
All right. Let's do this. everybody mind checking if all sources work? Sorry. I should have said that for a lot of the others too, but I was clicking through them, but there's just too many on this.
They look good to me.
Yeah, all right. Great. And oh,
One of the sources is a student senate bill. What's this one for? About installation of emergency blue lights
yeah,
phones
that's
along and adjacent to fraternity drive. Since we
He's-
switched,
He cites that. Cites that in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Since we,
It's fine.
yeah, okay.
There's one part of a whereas clause. I want to say it's on the first page. 1, 2, 3. It's the second to last one on the first page. Talking about female students. That's the beginning of it, where source 13 is cited. Do you feel as though the second part of it, and the latter two groups have had less positive interactions with campus safety officials, is relevant to the resolution? I don't.
It could be omitted because we are attempting to work with specifically UPD, as I know they were the UF unit that installed blue lights most recently. So yeah, it could be removed.
Yeah, that's all I was thinking of, is if you're going to be collaborating, right, with the university. Okay, do I hear a motion to amend 1058 to strike and the latter two groups all the way through to officials by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Well, then it would just read female students.
Latter two groups. Responding to this.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
I thought you meant the first.
No,
the
no.
other two. Okay,
Just the
yeah,
second
that's fine.
part,
That's fine.
yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry. And to replace the comma with a period by unanimous consent.
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. And all right. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1058 by unanimous consent.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Okay. 59. Um, 5 minutes of presentation whenever you're ready.
Sounds great. So I really appreciate one of the prior authors. I didn't know that there was going to be a bill on the docket with respect to covering bus stops. However, I believe me, alongside one of the prior docket author, have had a similar conversation with Director McDonald in the potential allocation of traffic court funds. Again, these funds really just pile up. The funds in traffic court are explicitly from students in the form of the fines that they pay, so they should be going towards student issues like this. I know later on down in a separate resolution, however, traffic court funds are explicitly for purposes like these. And my understanding from my prior conversation both with the current Director McDonald as well as the prior interim director, as it relates to essentially TAPS would function as the recipient and executor of the project funds, and they would initiate a request to the traffic court to be able to use these funds, and there'd be some paperwork. However, as it relates to the most immediately actionable things that student government could be doing, my most recent conversation with Director McDonald in the fall was that specifically the bus shelters and the bike rack covers are the most needed. Recognizing that you had already relayed one on the docket as it relates to the bus stop covers, I would entertain however the committee wants to address that, if we want to pass both to show resounding support, or if we want this to focus more on the bike coverings. However, by and large, we've passed multiple prior things on this exact subject. In my research, we had passed SSB 2024-1128, a resolution calling for coverage at a specific bus stop at Lake Alice from former Senator Monson. So alongside another one from former Senator Pelton, just broadly calling for bus stop infrastructure revitalization. So I think this is a no-brainer. The funds are there, and they want to use the funds. So the time is now for us to be able to pass something like this. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. All right. We have 5 minutes for questions. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we move into debate. Yeah, the only thing I'd say is historically, because of reasons of repetition, we typically don't pass bills that are about the same topic. But if you would like to make it solely about the bike racks, we can.
This started just as bike rack.
Perfect.
And then I recalled my conversation that he was talking about bike rack and bus stop. So
Yeah.
you could literally, I think I went in here and just really like added and bus stop for a lot of these. So specifically bike racks are what I care about because I have an e-bike for which this is a more prominent concern.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, just because also that Senator Botts' bill had been on the docket for a couple weeks too. Yeah, just that's typically the precedent. So we can go through and edit that. All right. Any more debate? Hearing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time. Do I hear a motion to eliminate the word bus stops from any or related in this bill or in this resolution by unanimous consent?
So moved.
All right, let's go through this. And
So title, change covered bike racks.
my computer is like tweaking right now.
Do I need to say I move to amend?
No, he
Here.
did the motion.
No way this thing died. Please. All right, now it's fine.
Okay, so for title,
Sorry, it's like very stuck.
Excuse me.
Started working. Let's hope that I can edit. Hey, there we go. All right.
so title, eliminate and bus stops.
Yeah.
And then in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th whereas clause.
Let me just delete some of these tabs. Maybe it's
Okay.
To delete.
Bus stops.
Stops.
Title, 5th whereas. Delete bus stops and. I think it's better just control F bus stops because in the 8th there's another bus stops and delete that, and then the next whereas and bus stops, delete that. Just bus stop.
Yeah.
Should we remove the entire whereas clause? The end of the first page. EU Student Senate has already passed legislation supporting additional bus stop seating since we're moving bus
Yes.
stops in general. So
Yes.
just I move to modify SSB 2025-1059 to remove that whereas clause by unanimous consent.
So
Um,
what? There's need to say something.
where is it? I'm sorry.
Which clause?
It was at the end of the first page of original.
Oh yeah, I see
Mhm.
it. Yeah, yeah.
I think you're removing references to bus stops.
Um,
And for the proviso, do you think we need Renton or no? Just to see, to edit from student body president.
Written, the author said was useful in when we were doing uniformity stuff. I think this is probably one where we could lean further into TAPS since it's directly about TAPS and get rid of
Yeah.
written if the committee wants to.
are there any sources you think we can delete as well for this? I think source 6 about bus seating on campus. I think.
I think we could. I don't think we have to since we can have sources that aren't used
Yeah,
in the
that's true.
thing. So
Right.
we don't want to spend time on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to strike from the names student body president through to Glover and also vice president for student life, Dr. Heather White, by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Okay.
So we're keeping Renton.
think-
Yes, right, because didn't he say Renton was who you...
Renton was important in the other ones. I don't know how
Did
important
you,
it is
did you
here,
work with
but-
Renton on this at all?
I could elaborate. Ren was more for the signage.
Okay.
but
Yeah, so
We can
yeah.
strike Renton.
So
she
I
could
moved.
stay or she could go. I don't mind.
Sure.
I moved to amend SSB 2025-1059 by striking business affairs by striking Brandy Renton in his title from the Proviso by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Yeah, it's also going to help her see your signage. One's easier to
Mhm.
write and focus on those. So, all right. Do I hear any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1059 by unanimous consent.
Okay. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. 1060. Yeah. I have like max 5 minutes, but if you wanna keep
well,
going.
we can try and speed run
All
these
right,
next
we
two.
got it.
So if you all know, there's that little raised crosswalk connecting the hub and Newell that was brought about based off my prior conversations with the interim TAPS director due to traffic court funds that were allocated. What essentially we're calling for here is based off feedback I've received from a couple constituents. The commuter crosswalk connecting the commuter lot to Southwest. While there is a toggleable flashing light for pedestrian crossing sign, regardless of whether or not the light is flashing, constituents have expressed concern to me that vehicles do not stop appropriately or slow down for pedestrians, given that Hull is a much less populated road, so people feel more able to speed above the speed limit. So we're calling attention to that, and we're encouraging the creation of a raised crosswalk at that specific crosswalk. And I yield the rest of my time.
All right. We're now in line for 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate?
We just need to switch urges to encourages in the second, therefore, and then cut Proviso down. But besides that, it's all good.
I think Proviso's actually already good, so we should be good.
Even quicker.
And then, any more debate? All right, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1060 by changing urges to encourages in the second, therefore clause by unanimous consent.
Okay. Are there any objections?
I move to amend SSB 2025-1060 by changing then to and in the fourth whereas clause by unanimous consent. At the end, then comma, change to and comma.
Oh yeah.
Hmm?
That's a good catch. In the fourth whereas clause.
Whereas clause.
Yeah.
It says and on my end.
Oh, it does?
It says
Yeah.
that on my end.
It
So
says then for me too.
Let me refresh. Maybe
I refresh it in a
last
second.
week.
it's at the end of source 3. Like source 3 and then.
Yeah, it's still.
Okay. Sorry. All right. Yeah, there are no objections. Okay.
All right. I move to pass SSB 2025-1060 by unanimous consent.
Okay, there's been a motion to pass SSB 2025-1060 by unanimous consent. Oh, wait. Sorry. Yeah.
I rescind that
would you mind
motion.
rescinding that motion? Yeah. Sorry. Do I hear a motion to amend the proviso to strike from student body president to Brandy Renton by
And Heather
unanimous-
White.
and Dr. Heather White by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Are there any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1060 by unanimous consent.
All right. There's been a motion to pass SSB 2025-1060 by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. We are now in line for SSB 2025-1061. Senator Bannock, whenever you're ready.
So this one is calling for the installation of comfort paths. These are essentially paving over areas of our campus that have been trodden on a lot, resulting in no grass being in that area. I provide peer institution examples from Virginia Tech. However, there are also examples that are not written in, such as Ohio State, where they have paved over these areas, as in Tech's instance, and is relevant in our instance, considering the amount of rain we receive. Since these are frequented paths that are dirt, they can become muddy, which presents a safety risk. So I think this is a good idea. It looks like the sources didn't come through on the drive end, so I don't know how we want to broach that, but it's just a couple of things.
Okay.
But beyond that, I noted a few places where I had noted these trodden paths in a whereas clause, but by and large, I think this is a great idea, and it helps make our campus look much more planned and intentional rather than backwards.
Great. All right. You wait the rest of your time?
Yeah.
All right. We're now live for 5 minutes of question and answer. Are there any questions?
Do you have access to these sources
Yeah.
very immediate? that we
Yes.
can
What's
go-
the easiest way for me to send?
If you would, honestly, if you just want to copy, paste them and like send it over to me or Austin or somebody in a Word document, and then we can. Or yeah, if you could just send it to me in a Word doc, and then I can.
Could I just email it to you both?
Yeah.
Like it's just two
Yeah,
links.
that works
isn't it?
good. And then we'll paste them in. Typically, I will say for precedent, we don't do that, but because it's a tech error this
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
then yes,
Yeah,
we'll
I'm not
do
sure why
that.
they didn't come through.
Because I feel like I do remember, like, seeing it on the original version of when the docket came out. So, okay. And then, are there any more questions? Hearing none, we're now in line for 5 minutes of debate. Is there any debate? Hearing none, we're now in line for any motions at this time.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1061 by cutting from the Proviso student body president all the way to Renton by unanimous consent.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1061 to add the missing links that will be emailed to the acting chair by unanimous consent.
I just emailed them to both of you.
Thank you. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Do I hear a motion to strike Vice President for Student Life, Dr. Heather White, from the Proviso by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
I move to amend SSB 2025-1061 by striking the, let me count really quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 7th whereas clause by unanimous consent.
Is the list of areas?
Yeah, just so it's like broader and it's like where it's needed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are there any objections?
I would object to that because the delivering a list has been most useful in working with facilities, so they know where to start, and then we expand from there. But I would just relay this list after passing separately, so I think it's pertinent to be in the resolution, but again, I don't have the floor right now, so I'm just talking.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right. And do I hear a motion to amend the second therefore clause to change the word urges to encourages by unanimous consent?
So moved.
Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Okay. All right.
I move
Are there
to
any other motions at this time?
I move to pass SSB 2025-1061 by unanimous consent.
All right. Are there any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. All right.
Aaron better be so proud of us on the record, you know?
I will say for note, I was pretty lenient on it, not just for you, Max, but for like everybody who came and presented. But typically, only committee members should speak during debate and question and answer. But we were pretty lenient about it today. But for future.
In another world, I'm a committee member.
All right. I adjourn this meeting. Seeing as all legislation has been completed, I adjourn this meeting at 6:40 p.m.
Where do you want me to send these notes to? Do you want me to send them just to
Oh, yeah,
your
please,
email?
please send that. Hold on, wait. Also, how do I stop? Do I click stop or end recording on this?
That I'll let
I
Julia
think-
figure it out.
You.
There's one time
I'm
I
just
missed it.
pressing the
I think I missed something.
this button. I think that looks like.